Hello.
Testing, I guess.
There we go.
Is mine working?
It is.
Okay, word.
Hear that?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
See, that was a good one. That was a good one, Steven. Do you know why? Because it resonated with the audience as well.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, guys.
See, people all around the world have been asking for this podcast to come back.
Yeah, all like 14 of them.
All 14 of those original listeners.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it, though.
We'll be right back with our first cryptid, atmospheric jellyfish.
What?
While generally thought to be UFOs, sky jellyfish could be atmospheric beast of some sort. Hey now, language.
Atmospheric jellyfish.
Sky serpents are also on the list. So sky serpents are snakes that are elongated serpentine dragons that appear in the sky. That could be what
Rayquaza was?
Rayquaza,
the
yeah.
Pokemon?
That could be his sort of category of cryptid. Well, they're not the same as ordinary flying dragons, though.
As though ordinary flying dragons are just a common occurrence that you could just look up and just see in the sky.
See, certain sky serpent sightings resemble brine shrimp because of the thin nature of their arms. Makes it easier to glide through the air.
I want to know who exactly the source is on this information, because this is some wild stuff here.
Once again, Steven, I'm reading off of fandom.com.
Freaking fandom.com.
It's the cryptid wiki.
They have a whole wiki dedicated to this?
Oh, yeah. Many atmospheric beast sightings were originally classified as highly unusual UFO reports, in the sense of UFOs being defined as supposed alien spacecraft or machines of some other sort. Not in the technical sense of being unidentified flying objects, noted Bigfoot author Ivan T. Sanderson. He devoted an entire book to the theory.
Well, I've certainly heard of worse books you could read. At least you'd get some very interesting folklore or something, probably. There's probably much less of the fantasy, conspiracy stuff, and maybe hopefully a little more of the, like, hey, this is like an actual story that, I heard while, doing my research or whatever. I like those kind of books.
Those kind of books make you wonder about what all's out there in the world. One extremely famous atmospheric beast, Stephen? The Crawford Monster.
Word. What's that?
He's a dragon.
Oh. That's right, we're still on Sky Beasts. That's right.
One policeman described an encounter with the creature. This had happened while bicycling. The thing felt like a soft blanket and smelled like mildew. After it rubbed against him, it floated away.
Are we sure he's not just describing like a really odd memory from like a blackout drunk scenario where he just like brushed up against like a hooker or something?
Yeah, that would be crazy if a hooker flew into the air. It was one of, keep in mind, he didn't say it was the most. He said it was one of the most terrifying experiences he's ever had in his life. Just as the sea has its own life that is often hidden from view, it is thought that the clouds form a vast atmospheric sea above us, and that it is merely an animal that is native to the clouds.
Are they going Mesopotamian on us? Are we going back that far, bro? With the origin of the sky and the land? Is that where we're going with this?
I'll let that lead into the learning section for this podcast.
Oh, okay.
See, we always try to have cryptids, learning, and we'll have a joke off towards the end. What happened in ancient Mesopotamia, Stephen?
Well, I think it's the Enuma Elish, which is the Mesopotamian creation story, which is actually very similar and may have actually been an inspiration for the biblical creation story. But anyway, in this one, it starts with the world as dark, empty, and in it, the only thing that was in it was a primordial, chaotic ocean, right? And ruling that ocean was the great dragon Tiamat. She was, this sort of primordial being that would eventually go on to be the material that the world was made from. Now, this, of course, is very similar to all sorts of myths all around the Near East and the steppes above in the Eurasian steppe. But it's a very common trope that the world is made from the body of a primordial force, right?
So, like, we're walking on Tiamat.
Yes. In the same way that the Norse believed that the ground beneath us would be the giant Ymir.
So, it was believed, is it kind of like in the book It, where the world is like riding on the back of a turtle?
It's not quite like that. It's more of, so this all of this relates back to the sort of cosmology of the Indo-Europeans over in the Eurasian steppe, who were the guys who domesticated the horse and gave us, like, wheeled carts and stuff, So kind of important, you know what I mean? Out there, in the fields, although I guess it wasn't the fields, they were all just one giant sea of grass. But anyway, these guys were cool, right? They domesticated horses. They developed lactose tolerance, so we can drink milk now because of them, which is actually why most Europeans and whatnot are actually lactose tolerant, and we're actually one of the few groups in the world that are, because that was part of our diet for thousands of years, was the products of the cow, which included milk, which was especially important in, like, the northern regions, which were more cold and had longer winters and whatnot. And you could use the cows, you could bring them inside your house, and you'd have like a fresh supply of dairy and whatnot.
So there's a lot to unpack here.
There is a lot. There's so much context that has to go into all this stuff. It's crazy.
Well, are you ready for the joke off? I don't know if y'all have heard our first podcast, but we had some of the longest jokes I've ever heard on that first podcast.
Yeah, like I remember that very clearly. It was we were just kind of sitting there, and I was sitting there scrolling through, like, I had this little list of jokes or whatever, and they were these proper things with a lot of context and all that stuff, and then you just had these little one-liners. I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's the little theme there for tonight,
Well, I invented a new word.
Oh.
Plagiarism.
That's so strange, bro. It's already so widely distributed. Man, how has your name not gotten out there already? Everybody should know Ralph Landon Taylor at this point.
And they should know Stephen Potter.
You want to know the best thing about Switzerland, my man?
What's the best thing about Switzerland, my man?
I don't know, but the flag's a plus.
Why was Cinderella so bad at soccer, Stephen?
Well, assuming she was playing in a regular field and not one filled with cow patties.
She kept running away from the ball.
So what would bears be without bees?
Ears.
Yes.
Well, we'd like to thank you all for joining us today, watching the podcast.
Yeah.
It's been real. It's been fun. And what should we have, an outro thing? We're kind of rebooting the podcast.